Part of their everyday life.
With the discovery of the nearby cemetery, Julie and Salah have an even more direct link to the past. Inside these ancient graves, they may actually come face to face with the very people who worshipped in the temple nearly 2,000 years ago. Salah begins the excavation of a new tomb, untouched by the drainage canal.
By simple brushing like this, I can discover or notice any ancient activity on this surface. But here I have to be very careful because I have to follow exactly the limits of the original shaft. Otherwise, I will have a false plan of the whole grave.
Salah's team are men from a semi-nomadic tribe called the Bishareen. In summer, they leave their families behind and travel far into the desert with their camels in search of pasture. For now, they stay close to home and take part in the excavation. One of them is getting married, so the Bishareen take the afternoon to celebrate. The groom takes great pride in his camels and enjoys showing them off. They'll go to the new bride and her family as part of Bishareen tradition. After several days of digging, Salah is now well into the burial shaft. At the entrance of the tomb, he has found a perfectly intact pot within the fill.
But it is a beautiful one. I like it. I like very much the form. See, the form is really very beautiful. The color is also very nice. I think it is a very beautiful museum piece. Huh?
The pot probably held incense, burned as a ritual by the family of the deceased. As a final sign of grief, vessels like this one were placed upside down just outside the grave. The shaft would be sealed for what the Meroites believed would be eternity. Families may have looked for solace in the temple, praying for the sick, mourning the dead. Others may have come to thank the gods for a new birth or a bountiful harvest. Those who wished to enter the temple complex passed first through a towering pylon gateway. Halfway down a paved avenue lined with rams, they would have enjoyed a brief respite from the sun beneath a shady kiosk. Ahead lay the great wooden doors of the temple. 2,000 years have passed, and inside the main sanctuary, a painted plaster wall has fallen to the ground. Archaeologist Caroline Rochelow, another member of the team, is trying to save what she can from the debris.
Now the colors are a little bit pale now, but it would have been really bright, bright colors all over. So quite a festive place indeed.
It's not surprising that the ancient Meroites craved color. The desert land was beige, the sky pale with heat and haze. Only the river offered a reprieve from the monotony.
The green of the agricultural land along the Nile is just beautiful.
Today, it's the same. The people of Dangail share their ancestors' need for color and their talent for using it to brighten their lives.
And when people color their houses, they carry the color back from the Nile up into the desert.
Though the painted walls from the temple collapsed into fragments, the pattern remains intact. Caroline has the delicate task of putting the pieces back together.
Actually, finding a fragment like this of a wall decoration is extremely rare. We're very, very lucky.
Not only has part of the wall been preserved, but chunks of ancient pigment have also been found in the temple.
So I have white here. It's kind of like chalk, actually. There's the white. And I could try the yellow next to that. And there's our yellow.
Ancient artists who used the walls of the temple as their canvas mixed the crushed pigments with water to make their paint. By extrapolating from the wall fragments, Caroline will help Julie recreate the startling beauty of the temple at the height of its glory.
The whole temple would have been painted. The columns would have been painted. The walls would have been painted. There would be color everywhere.
The base of the walls and columns in the outer sanctuary were encircled with figures of water-bearing happy gods, while images of the king and queen making offerings to Amun adorned the upper reaches of the chamber. Even statues of the gods would have been enlivened by color. Each day, the priests of Amun would attend to his countenance, applying a rim of black coal to enhance the ram's red-painted eyes. So far, the team has found no trace of these Amun statues they know should be somewhere inside the temple complex. But what they find in a new trench outside the main doorway leads Julie to believe the missing figures could have suffered the same fate as the altar from the inner sanctuary.
We have large clumps of broken, shattered statue here, but the statues had been smashed into many, many pieces. There's literally thousands and thousands of fragments here, many of which are completely undistinguishable.
After hours of digging, finally, a piece they recognize.
Oh.
It's the red-painted eye of a ram.
The eyes of the ram did look like this, so this does tell us that they were ram statues. And we were looking specifically for rams because that is the animal of the god Amun.
Unlike the ram statues at the Amun temple at Naga, which are still intact after all these years, their counterparts at Dangale have suffered a much harsher fate.
It looks like people basically went down the avenue purposefully, step by step, and went to each statue, pushed it over, smashed it, and then moved on to the next one.
Hard work. But the perpetrators didn't show up empty-handed.
Right within the temple, at the scene of the crime, we found this. And I had no idea what it was at first. It's burned on one side, it's a very heavy rock, and it fits nicely in my hand. And then we started looking at it a little bit more and realized that the striking surface is right here. It's a hammerstone. So we had this hypothesis that a rock such as this could have been easily used to break these pieces, the ram and the altar, into many, many small pieces.
With a similar tool, not an artifact, Julie will put her theory to the test on a large chunk of sandstone.
This is a type of sandstone that's like that used in the rams in front of the temple. So let's pretend that this is a ram that I've just pushed over. The pieces of rock are fragmenting into very sharp, small pieces. They look very similar to the pieces that we're getting from the altar. I'm pretty happy with this demonstration, in fact. It looks very much like these stone tools could have done the job. We have a crime on our hands here.
It all adds up to an invasion. Ruthless and determined, some powerful force swept through Dangale and laid waste to the sacred temple. The invaders ransacked the sanctuary, obliterated reference to the Nubian rulers, and destroyed the symbols of their gods. They looted everything of value. And then, as a final gesture, burned the temple to the ground. Had they come to overthrow the Nubian Empire? The Meroites had formidable enemies at the end of their reign, raiding nomads from the desert, and a rival kingdom in what is now Ethiopia. The decline of the Nubian kingdom in the 3rd century AD may have prompted the attack at Dan Gale. One thing is sure, the ancient city never recovered from the blow. Once it was destroyed, the people of Dan Gale abandoned the temple and their homes.
We've managed to find these answers, and that's really exciting. Now we're looking for some of the details, but we have the answers to the big questions. And that's incredible.
It's a tremendous payoff for their first seasons of excavation. But Salah is still hard at work in the cemetery. He has finally reached the inside of the tomb. A massive offering pot is found within.
But it is very, very beautiful. I like very much the form of these ceramics. These are used for liquids. They are found normally at the entrance of the graves, protecting the dead. Here in the grave, it is really a moment of history. You have a complete moment of history sealed in this grave. It is very exciting to go to the bones to find the body complete and in situ. But at the same time, you are treating a human body, a human being. Because doing agriculture or herding animals, they were depending completely maybe on the Nile, living as we are doing today, the same activities, I think.
These were the worshippers of the Amun temple of Dan Gale, those who suffered the greatest loss when their city was ransacked.
So it is really very interesting for an archaeologist to find both, to find the life and the afterlife. And you can really tell a whole story of the people. How do they live? How did they die?
But the story is still unfolding.
There's an awful lot of work to be done at Dan Gale. There are mounds and buildings that are obviously well preserved here. Salah and I could be here for 20, 30 years easily, and still not even scratch the surface of the entire site.
Waiting somewhere beneath the sands may still be the coveted Rosetta Stone, the secret to deciphering the Nubians' mysterious script. And many of the structures in the massive city of Dan Gale are still hidden.
It is a work of a whole generation, I think. So what we can do, we can just do a part of it, and maybe our sons will do the rest to complete the story.